All right. So we don't have one story, we have two stories. Okay. And one of them is a real story, actually. So it happened. I mean, the other one, it's a tale, so we don't know whether it happened or not. But two very good stories. So the first one is about someone, a lay person, going to a silent retreat. You know these retreats where they spend days not talking to each other in a monastery or on the mountains, something like that. So there was a guy who went to a Buddhist temple and he did a silent retreat there for 1 week, no talking. So at the end of the retreat, they were actually allowed to ask one question before they leave the place. Okay, so the one who organized the retreat actually told the participants that, you know, you can ask any of the monks over there one question before you leave. Then there was one man who actually benefited a lot from the retreat. That he felt more energetic, more positive. He was, I mean, he felt almost enlightened. So he was very happy, but he still had like a question in his mind, at the back of his mind, despite the fact of being very calm after, I mean, at the end of the retreat. So the one question he had in mind was that, okay, I'll tell you. So he approached one of the old monks who was there, okay, and said that, okay, I have a very important question, and I think this question is going to help me when I go back to my normal life as well. Then the monk said, okay, please go ahead with your question. And his question was, how do I get peace of mind when I return, you know, to my normal day-to-day business? So how do I get peace of mind? And the Zen monk said, I don't know what's the answer for you, but I can tell you what I do. Okay. So then the person said, okay, please tell me what you do so that you have, you know, that peace of mind every day. And then the monk said that I just say yes to everything. And then the guy was like, okay, is it as simple as that? And then the monk said, yes, I just say yes to everything that happens to me. And that's how I get peace of mind. And then the guy returned home enlightened, and he spread his enlightenment everywhere. That's the first story. Now, what's the wisdom in that story? That's the key thing here. The wisdom is that
to be yes man.
Yeah, but it
yes
can be
man.
dangerous though. I mean, someone asks you to jump off the bridge, you'll just say yes. The thing is that it's about the first noble truth. Actually, I mean, the first noble truth goes on like that. The main cause of suffering is desires. Okay, it's wanting life to be in a certain way, and life is in a different way. So that's what causes suffering. So what the monk meant by, you know, just say yes, he meant just accept whatever life is giving you. You know, so sometimes you plan something, but things don't work out the way you planned it to work out, and you get upset usually. So being upset means that you're not accepting the reality the way it is. So you just need to go. I think that's where the expression comes from, that expression of going with the flow. You just need to go with the flow, just accept it, and then it's through acceptance that you actually get peace in that situation. So it's as simple as that. So people who are very peaceful are usually people who are flexible, I would say. You know, we have that very we have that symbol in Chinese mythology, the symbol of the bamboo. So you have a very old story which tells you that the bamboo is more powerful than a big tree, because when the winds are very strong, the bamboo bends and then it becomes straight again, right? But if you have a big tree with big roots, I mean, the strong winds can actually uproot the big tree and throw it out. So we should be like the bamboo, we bend as life tries to bend us. So the main cause of suffering is actually resisting what life is giving us. So when we fall sick, we just fall sick. We accept it. And when things happen which were not planned, things just happen. So we just accept it and we move on. But the trick is in Zen, it's not like black on white. There's always a gray area. It's as if you're looking at both sides of things at the same time. So even if we say that, yeah, you accept life the way it is, you still try to change it. So for example, when you fall sick, you accept that you did fall sick, but at the same time, you'll take medication to get back fit, you see? So when something bad happens, you accept that it happened, but you still do things to make things better, even if everything is perfect the way it is. Falling sick also is perfect in a sense. It's teaching us something. All right, so it's never straightforward. It's always both sides, and that's how life is. It's always both sides, and I think we try to view things in a linear way, and that's why it doesn't make sense, and that's why we get more confused, because we refuse to actually see that both sides of it are actually true and real. So that's my take on the story. Because the way I told you the story was how the story is. The interpretation is from me, okay? So someone else tells the stories. The other person may have other viewpoints about it. So what are your viewpoints? Let me start with Sham. Sham, do you have anything to add to that story?
Well, I think we need to judge, because you can't say everything yes in office. You have to use your judgment.
Yeah, I missed something. It kind of cut when you said, can you repeat everything? What did you say before judgment?
You cannot tell yes to everything. Suppose you're in an office and they tell you to do something which is not in order. You have to say it is not correct. You cannot say yes.
Yeah, true. Yeah. That's why we talk about, we need to see both sides. Like you actually need to do something too.
Yeah.
But I think the point of the story is we resist too much. Like, in our heads, we want some things not to happen. And we really try to reinforce ourselves or put barriers so that these things don't happen, but they actually end up happening, and it causes the biggest damage. So when these things happen, and they just happen, we need to accept, and it's okay. I'm just going to admit someone. For example, we have, when people who are close to us, they die. It's not something we want to happen, right? Our close family members die. It's not something we want to happen, but we know it's going to happen, so we can resist it a lot. Like, I don't really want that to happen, and you try to shut your mind from that idea. Like, no, I don't want to think about it. It can't happen, but eventually it's going to happen someday. But at the same time, yeah, like we said, when someone falls sick, you try to do something, even if you accept it to be like that. And sometimes it's hard to accept things that life throws at you. But I think some of you may have experienced it. It's only when you accept things the way they are, even if the things which are happening to you at that time are very painful, it's then that you start to see a bit clearly, usually. And I think that's the essence of the story. Shams, do you have anything to add on that?
No, it's okay.
Potentially not just accepting things, but embracing them. So saying yes is like a metaphorical to like saying yes to life, I guess, or saying yes and going into experiences with like a positive and an embracing mindset versus like, oh, do this, and you're like, all right, like, you know, like, and just kind of doing it. But like the cleaning kind of thing that I mentioned before,
Yeah.
earlier on, it's like, instead of just being like, okay, I'll do the dishes, like, yes, I'll do the dishes, and it'll, you know, and actually be present and embracing of the experience, as opposed to just trying to get it done and wishing you were somewhere else. So that comes to mind. For
And
me.
that's one of the key things I would say. Like, our life on Earth is limited, right? We're going to live a certain number of years, and the only thing I think which we can do is try to live each moment as fully as we can live. So that's the essence of doing these small tasks. I mean, with your whole heart, like washing the dishes, getting up, cleaning, breathing at times. I mean, we're so busy going to work or going through the traffic that sometimes, yeah, we don't even realize that we are breathing and we are still alive. I mean, sometimes the day can be so bad that the only positive thing could be that you're still on your feet, and that's something you can be happy about, actually, because some people can't say that.
Mm.
So it's all relative, I would say. Yeah, cool. Marie, you have something to add?
Yes, I would say acceptance is would be the key, is the key role when, especially when you're sick, because I went through it. So for this situation, I would say acceptance, yes, it's the key, and it's the key role, I mean, to accept the sickness itself and how you change during sickness and how you change afterwards, as well, accepting yourself during sickness. That's the hardest. But for any other situations, I mean, it's I wouldn't say yes to everything. Depends on situation, or let people treat you bad, for example, not being kind to you. These are things that I won't accept.
Yeah.
I can say, because having gone through sickness, so yes, it is acceptance. It has a great role. Yeah.
And it's a thanks for sharing that, Marie. It's a Zen story. It's never direct and clear as it seems. So I think when the monk said yes, it's not like the yes as we interpret it. It's okay. For example, let's say someone insults you. That's another story in itself. There was a story about a guy who insulted the Buddha once. So let's say someone insults you, or someone does something nasty. I'm sure a lot of you must have experienced that. Someone you trusted does something to you, and a lot of people have that thought that, how could that person do that to me? Okay, I never expected that. But if you think deeply, I mean, and the more you think in that way, it causes you more harm, actually, because you end up doubting your own judgment that you can judge people well, and it goes on, it plays on your mind so much. But actually, if you try to take the essence of the story, if something like that happens to you, you say, yeah, it could have happened, because anyone is actually anyone can actually go to the dark side or go to the bright side. It's quite possible. So if someone does something nasty to you, it is a possibility we shouldn't get affected that much. We're going to get affected, but it shouldn't affect us that much, and we should accept it and then work through it. So I think so we should say yes to the situation. Okay, it happened. Let's deal with it. It's that constant story that why it happened to me, why me? That's what causes most of the suffering. So that's what it's pointing to, I would say. All right, good. And Jinsen, I won't ask you because you joined like when the story ended, so you don't really know the full story. Maybe you can watch it in the recording afterwards. Thanks for joining, Anjin-san.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Story number 2. Okay. All right. So story number 2 is about 2 monks now. So you have a young monk and then you have an old monk. And they're walking, okay, next to a river. So they're walking next to a river. And then on the other side of the river, okay, so the flow in the river, it's very wide. Okay, so it's very hard to walk on the water or even swim to go to the other bank, let's say. On the other side of the river, there's a beautiful lady, okay, waving at them. So the 2 monks approach the bank, okay, and then they trying to listen to what the lady is saying. Then the lady asks for help. Okay, so the lady asked them, can you help me to cross the river? I need to go to the other side of the river. Then the 2 monks look at each other for 1 minute in silence. Okay, as if not knowing what to do. And then after the 1 minute of silence, the older monk tries to work his way to the young girl, and then lifts the girl up, puts her on his shoulders, and then goes through the river and then drops the lady. Okay, and then the lady says thank you, and then they just move on. Now, while they are both walking, going to the next village, let's say, the young monk is like he's anxious and he's upset. You know that feeling when you want to say something but you can't say it and you keep it inside? So for 1 hour, they both walk, and the young monk doesn't say anything, but you can see he's restless. Yeah, restless is the right word. And then after 1 hour, he just bursts and tells the old monk, how can you as a senior monk, touch a woman? Okay, now that tale comes from that time whereby, they used to vow not touch a woman when they became a monk. Okay, so that's why he's asking that. So the young monk tells the elder one, the older one, how can you lift a lady and then help her to cross the river while we vowed not to even touch a woman, So you're not a real Buddhist or something like that. So he's very angry. And then the old monk tells him, brother, I dropped that lady 1.5 hours ago, and you're still carrying her with you all that time. End of the story. It ends there. Okay. You know how these end stories are. They just end sharply, and we need to figure out what the hell happened. Okay, so I mean, this one is a bit more tricky to interpret compared to
it's like holding grudge, yeah.
Yeah, holding grudge. Yeah, so that's one of the things. And it's pointing to, sometimes we do acts and we doubt ourselves maybe, and then we keep playing that in our head. What if I did something else? What if I did that? What if I didn't trust the person? That wouldn't have happened now. What if I took this job? What if I didn't meet this person? My life would have been better. What if I wasn't born in this country or in this family? There are so many what ifs, and there are things in the past which happen now, and we're still leaving them in our heads. This person did that to me, and it's still kind of twisting and turning in our heads. So one of the lessons would be like holding on to the past when it already happened. So that would be one of the things. Okay, I'll let you guys talk. Maybe you can shed some light. Sham, you want to start?
Yeah, the moral of the story is that the person must be in the present moment. Like the young guy was still thinking about what happened 1.5 hours ago. And the
Yeah.
old monk appeared to be very practical. Actually, he showed act of kindness.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
situation demanded like this.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Good point, Sham. Act of kindness. And you know, even in Buddhism, you have the conservatives and then you have the liberal, just like in the States, Sham. So the conservatives, they are known to stick to the rules. No, the rules are the rules. We can't do that. Whereas the liberals, you know, they see things in a different way. They're more open to different things. So I think the older monk was a liberal, and he just did what his heart told him to do. So he did vow not to touch a woman, but you need to put it in the context where you vow not to touch a woman in the context of a monk. It's not that kind of touching, like lifting someone to help. Okay, it's another kind of touching they're referring to. So if the older monk did nothing bad, you know, he just helped that lady. And he's over it, like you said, he lived in the present moment. He did what he had to do, and it's done. Yeah, it's a good point. The present moment is definitely one of the lessons. Yeah. Shams, anything to add?
By the way, in which, sorry.
No,
Which
please.
we have. So we have Sham, and then we have
Yeah.
Shams. Or maybe I should say Nelson, so that it's easier for everyone.
Yeah, sure. If you have another nickname for me, I'm happy.
Yeah, I called you Nelson now.
Alright,
Okay,
cool.
Nelson. There you go.
Well, what came to mind for me was about like attachment. So like the general theme of he wasn't attached to, you know, he was in that moment, I thought the ending would be something about like the carrying her with the young monk is still carrying her with him, means that he's been attached to this moment, to this rule, to this woman, to their, you know, something around those lines. So
Good point. I will just elaborate on that. So he's attached to his perception of that precept, not touching a woman is. So he's got a certain idea about what that means, and he's clinging to this. The older monk taught him a lesson that your heart should take over, you know, rigid rules at times. So that's one thing. And he's still attached to the past, like it happened, and he's still living it in his head. So attachment at two levels, I would say. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Marie?
I would say it's a great lesson for being passive aggressive. You're annoyed and you keep quiet, make as if everything is okay. You don't voice out. And also it teaches us, this story teaches us as well about resentment. And I think that we should, when something happens, we should learn to let go and not like, you know, overthinking and keep this going on our mind. And, you know, and that's for me, it's a lesson for being passive aggressive and resentment and letting go as well, not holding grudge. And yeah, so that's about it. Yeah.
True. It reminds me of that Adam Sandler film Anger Management, where he's passive actually. So he's an angry guy, but he doesn't show that he's angry, but he does suffer from being angry. You know, he suffers from anger. So, but he's the passive kind, whereby people do things to him, he doesn't react. He just keeps it inside, and it builds up till it starts to affect his life a lot. And yeah, now it doesn't mean that we need to be violently expressive now. Like I've seen people say their opinions, but in a very aggressive way. I don't think we need to do that too. I mean, we can express ourselves, back it up with evidence. And the reason why I say back it up with evidence is because we may be wrong too. Maybe we have an opinion about something, but it's not a good one. So we always need to have some sort of evidence to back up our beliefs. And then if one day we see that, no, what we've been thinking is wrong, then we can change it. And if everyone thinks that way, I think we'll be in a better place. But yeah, good points. And resentment. Yeah, that's a good one actually. So if you do develop resentment, and usually it happens when people did things to you. So people did things to you and you actually never told the person, you know, what you did really upset me. Let's say you held on to those emotions. You never really told the person. That builds resentment throughout time. And you keep thinking that, you know, whatever that person did to me, you know, that person should understand or should meet the same fate. You start to develop these dark thoughts. So resentment is something which is very bad. So my way of handling this would be people do things which are very nasty to you. You still express yourself in a quite neutral way, even if it's not that easy to do at the moment. So you try to calm yourself down first, and then you know you can openly say, okay, whatever you did really upset me or broke my heart, or I wasn't expecting that from you. So as long as you express yourself and then you move out from the person's life, I think you're okay. But if you don't say anything and just move on, and then you hold on to that resentment that you never really told the person how you felt. So that's a good one. Thanks, Mari. Yeah, that was a good one. And Jinsen?
Yes. So for me, will be like this story reminds me of something like we are stuck in our past, so we can't move on. The young monk is stuck in this situation that he's angry. Finally, he was tormenting himself. Like, does he have the guts to tell the old monk at the present moment what he was feeling? He waited for, I think, for 1 hour and 30 minutes to just tell him what he felt. So he was like consuming inside. And at the end, he couldn't support this turmoil and had to voice out. So this was like affecting himself deep inside. Despite being a monk, you see that we have to perpetually have to overcome our old shortcomings to show, because being an angry guy and have this resentment deep inside, like most human beings nowadays, we are stuck in our past and we can't move out of it, because it depends on the situation and depends on the people. So maybe some people will take it like one day to just forget the past and move on. Some people will immediately move on. So I think for me, this situation, like we said, not everything is good to be said to one people, because you can hurt the people at the moment by using. You can be kind to yourself and kind to the people by using passive words, but these people, the people on the other side, can take it badly. Like even though you provide evidence for him or her, she's not accepting the facts that maybe he has done a mistake or you have done a mistake, and you are apologizing for that, but at the moment maybe the people won't accept it. So it depends on the context.
Yeah, I would just add that you can just do your best, like with the thing of showing evidence and people not listening. That's the event story on its own. So let me just wrap up that discussion with another story that we get a bonus one today. So there was another story about, so this one is a true one. So there was there was a person who wanted to interview a Zen master. Okay, so he went to his Zendo where he teaches, and then Japanese tradition is that when you go, they need to serve you tea. So the Zen master invited him for a cup of tea, which he accepted, the journalist. Okay, and he started to pour the tea in the cup, pours the tea, and then he keeps pouring the tea till it overflows. And then the guy just shouts at the Zen master, I mean, how do you call yourself a Zen master when you're pouring teas, overflowing with such a mess, and you claim to be teaching Zen to people? And then the Zen master smiled and said that, how can I fill your cup if it's already full? Okay. So what he wanted to say was that he already knew the journalist, you know, he's a very opinionated person. So he already has opinions about him. He just did that on purpose so that he could teach him a lesson, actually. And that's how a lot of people approach things. I mean, we already have opinions about certain things. And then we pretend that we want to learn more, but we're just waiting for the opportunity to just voice our opinions on that thing, you know? So most of the time, maybe people are not listening to learn, but they're listening just to find that gap where they can put their opinion in there. So you don't end up learning a lot if your cup is already full. And maybe the meditation practice or the Zen practice is to empty the cup. Actually, it is to empty the cup, because the foundation of Zen is to drop all desires, all feelings, all thoughts, everything, till there is nothing more to drop. And it is at that stage that we say it's enlightenment, where there's nothing more to drop. Lead back to a clean slate, to our true nature. That's how dogs behave. They're just in their true nature, you know. They don't have conflicting thoughts. They're just playing and fooling around. It's us human beings who have these conflicting thoughts, overthinking about things, and yeah, we create a lot of our own suffering. Good. Okay, let's sit now. Let's do some meditation. You can find a good spot, okay, so that you can have your back straight. In case the wall can support your back and you want to lean against the wall, that's fine. Let's start. All right. So we'll start by first focusing on our breath. Take a deep breath in and we count 1. And we breathe out slowly, 1. Deep breath in and we count 2. And we breathe out 2. Deep breath in 3. And we breathe out 3. Deep breath in 4. And we breathe out 4. Breathe in from your nose, 5. Breathe out from your mouth, 5. Breathe in 6. Breathe out 6. Breathe in 7. Breathe out from your mouth, 7. Breathe in 8. Breathe out 8 from your mouth. Breathe in 9. Breathe out 9. Breathe in 10. And breathe out 10. And you relax. Allow your body to settle down. Now we pick up on the breathing again. So breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let go. And we start breathing again. We count of 4, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And breathe out from your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let go. And we pick up on the breathing again. Breathe in for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let go. Now allow your body to breathe in on its own and breathe out on its own. Allow any thought to come, any feeling to come. Just let them come through the window and keep the back door open so that the thought goes out as well. Just don't try to hold on to any thought, feeling, emotion, vision, anything that comes to your mind, just let it flow. It's only like this that we develop acceptance to what's happening to us, acceptance towards life, which is the core of Zen practice. Let things be the way they are. That's what being in the present moment is. To be here. Despite the situation not being good at times, but we still are here. Fully present. Accepting things the way they are. We now sit silently. And now you can keep your eyes closed. I'm going to sing the heart of the Great Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, which is in English with some words in Sanskrit. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, awaken one of compassion in Prajna Paramita, the deep practice of perfect wisdom. Perceive the emptiness of all past conditions and words free of suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is precisely emptiness, emptiness precisely form. Sensations, perceptions, formations, and consciousness are also like this. O Shariputra, all things are expressions of emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, neither waxing nor waning. Thus, emptiness is not form, not sensation, nor perception, not formation, nor consciousness. No eye, no strong body, mind, no sound, smell, taste, touch, no object of mind, no realm of sight and realm of consciousness, no ignorance, no end to ignorance, no old age and death, no cessation of old age and death, no suffering, no causal end to suffering, no path, no wisdom, and no gain, no gain. Thus Bodhisattvas leave this Prajna Paramita with no hindrance on mind, no hindrance, therefore no fear. For beyond all delusion, Nirvana is already here. All past, present, and future Buddhas leave this Prajna Paramita and realize supreme and complete enlightenment. Therefore, know that Prajna Paramita is a sacred mantra, the luminous mantra, the supreme mantra, the incomparable mantra by which all suffering is clear. There is no other than truth. Therefore, set forth the Prajna Paramita, set forth this mantra and proclaim, already gone, gone, gate, gate, paragate, already gone beyond, parasamgate, already fully beyond, bodhisattva, awakening, rejoice. Now we're going to close by reading the Verse of Atonement, like we do every week. So the Verse of Atonement is you speaking to yourself. All the harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now atone for them all. Usually at the end of the Verse of Atonement, you bow to yourself. For today, I would like to also read the 4 vows, since in the story, they made reference to the vows which the Buddhist monks vowed to stick to. So there are 4 fundamental vows, which I'm going to read, which I read every day, which are just amazing. Okay, so let's start. Usually when you say the vows, you read them moderate, with a moderate tone, and then a loud tone, and then you whisper it to yourself. Okay, so we're going to keep the traditional format. So we're first going to do it moderate. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all the delusions are inexhaustible, perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. Now I'm going to say it a bit louder. To save all sentient beings, the beings numberless, to transform all delusions, the delusions are inexhaustible, perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to attain the light of way, a way non-attainable. The last one, I'm going to whisper. To save all sentient beings, the beings numberless, transform all delusions, the delusions are inexhaustible, perceive reality, the reality is boundless, to attain the light of way, a way non-attainable. That's the end of our session. Okay, guys, we're done for today.
Thank you.